Yes, I gave it the 72-hour rule, which I learned from Jerry Rodriguez. Whenever you have something emotionally charged happen to you, you should give it 72 hours before you address it and make a statement about it. So in this particular instance, I could probably use quite a bit more than 72 hours, but probably should put something out there because it was quite a few people following along and curious to know what happened and where my thoughts lie. So I didn't come here, I was being honest when I said I didn't have too much expectations for myself because it was a tight turnaround to get here. But that being said, after the fact, it is quite disappointing because I do feel that I was capable of a much better performance. And I had such a great opportunity to show a good performance, and so that's kind of the disappointing part. So starting off in the swim, after Augusta 70.3, I had done some really good swim training. I learned a couple of good lessons in that race, especially in the swim. And we changed the training up just a little bit, and I was making some really good gains in the water, and so I actually felt quite confident when that gun went. And it got out really well, actually quite easily got into the pack that I swam in and pretty much swam the whole time quite easily. It was probably the least energy I've expended in an Ironman swim. And, to show you how aware I was conscious of very many names and faces around me. Worf I remember seeing, Keenley I remember seeing, Matt Russell I remember seeing. So these are all good things, shows you're well within control. And so anyways, came out of the water, obviously have all the best bikers around me whom you would expect they're going to do some serious damage quickly. And Worf got away pretty quickly and had to spend quite a bit of energy to pull him back, about 330 watts for the first 30 minutes or so. And then we sort of coalesced into a big group consisting of Boris Stein, Sebastian, Cam, as I said, Matt Russell, Joe Skipper, a couple of other guys. So, this is as much firepower as you're ever going to get in a race. And we were making pretty good progress. I think we got, by the turnaround in Hawi, we had the deficit down from about 5 minutes down to 2 minutes. And then things started to peter out there. Then we started to give time back for a little bit. And then I think kind of just plateaued at that 2 minute mark. And I unfortunately wasn't contributing much. I ended up averaging 290 watts, which in the 5 starts in Kona is my lowest average. So, that's a little bit disappointing. Of course, you want to be contributing and you also want to, be firing really well. And this just was not the case. But, a little piece of me was actually happy because I figured, okay, not much energy out in the swim, not much energy out in the bike. So this means I'm going to have a great run, which, theoretically should be the case. But then I quickly, towards the end of the bike, realized that I had neglected a very important piece of the puzzle that I had sort of been infatuated with in previous years, interestingly. And that was the nutrition plan, the hydration plan. And coming up to the aid station at 100 miles, had this intense, more so than I've ever experienced, craving for water. And of course, no one was manning the water side of that station, so didn't get water. And so these cravings are getting worse and worse. And then all I could think about coming into T2 was there's a little aid station on the other side of the transition. I just couldn't wait to get there to grab a cup of water. But I also thought my visor was fogging up a little bit. But then I realized my visor wasn't fogging up. It actually was my vision fogging up. And then when I handed the bike off and my feet hit the ground, then I realized, I am the most disoriented I've ever been coming off the bike. It was very strange, very similar to sometimes when you get out of the water and you've been suspended horizontally and you get out and you come upright. That feeling, it was very, my balance and stuff was off, my vision was off. So anyways, I'm with the guys, I'm with Keenlay, who's probably one of the most consistent performers on the island. So I knew I was in a good place, but I had a lot of doubts that this was going to go over very well. And so anyways, I actually intended to make a full close changeover in the transition, but I figured I got to go toe-to-toe with these guys. So I decided to just keep my one piece on. Keenlay was headed out the door, grabbed my glasses and fuel belt thing, and of course both my hands are full as I go quickly by that aid station and miss the water cup. So then, it's been an hour now of severe water cravings, which got to tell you something. I think the old saying is, if you're starting to feel thirsty and to feel dehydrated, then it's probably too late for you. So anyways, another 2 or 3 miles with Sebastian, and it was already feeling hot. It wasn't feeling sustainable. And I think I was in maybe 4th place at this time. And then that was it. I mean, that was the end of the race for me. The wheels fell off real quickly from then on. It became survival mode by mile 7, going up Palani. I think my family thought that I was going to give them the thumbs up because the way I executed the first part of the race. I think they expected, oh wow, this is a great tactical race you've executed. I'm excited to see how good you're going to run. As sort of with hindsight, you know what I mean. You would expect that, but unfortunately, I had to give them the thumbs down and say this is going to be an insanely painful next 2 hours or so, which it was, and then. Yeah, just basically was survival mode from then on. I made a deal with myself up on the Queen K that you can run as slow as you want, just don't walk. And so I carried on like that and slowly getting passed by guys. And then I had this really odd experience at about 13 miles where I had almost this like resurgence in energy. And I actually, Brownlee had he was about maybe 400 meters ahead, and I actually caught him, passed him, and then the guy in front of him, who I think was fifth or sixth, I actually started to see them coming back, and I was like, oh wow, I'm actually getting my legs back. And so there's a glimmer of hope came back. And then we went down into the energy lab and turned around, came back. I saw Tim Reed. I counted places. I saw he was in, I think, 11th. And so I said to myself, as long as you don't get passed by Tim, at least you'll make some money. And so then that sort of became the goal. And then that flew out the window really quickly. And then all of a sudden, it was like the light switch went off. No more energy, no more ability to run. And it was actually Joe Gamble's coming by on the other side at that point, and he saw me kind of swerving over the road and stuff, and yelled at me to get some food at the next aid station because he obviously perceived it as I was starting to bonk. And it didn't feel like bonking. It felt more like, I don't know, like severe. I was just craving water at all times. Another couple miles go by, get to the top of the energy lab, and that's when I was getting nauseous, and I keeled over, puked, lost my balance a little bit, fell on the ground, wanted to just go to sleep on the ground for the rest of the day. Ground was, 120 degrees Fahrenheit and forced me to get up quite quickly. And I could tell there that I hadn't really been absorbing much for a while because the volume of vomit was so large. So, obviously that's not good. And then that was really just, it was just like, I just need to get to the finish line some way, somehow. And it was just pain, the most painful thing I probably have ever experienced. I couldn't consume anything anymore. Water was the only thing I could consume. And even that made me nauseous. And so then I actually passed, Brownlee was walking. I came up on him, and I mean, we're obviously not contending for anything of any relevance at this stage. And I said, come on, man, let's get to the finish line. So we made a deal with each other that we'd walk the aid stations and then run the in-betweens. And so that really helped to have someone, to suffer with. And, I asked him, are you having fun? And he said, no. And I said, me neither. And a little bit of commiseration there. And yeah, I just had a very long time to reflect on how how off the mark I was, especially with the hydration and nutrition strategy. There just wasn't one. Really hard way to learn it. And so then eventually I made it to the finish line, and yeah, it was I felt like I could pass out or fall over at any moment. So my dad went and got the car ready just on the other side of Kuakini and Palani, and it took me, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes to walk the 200 meters or so over to there, because I stopped to vomit a few times, and just really felt like I could, it just felt really like I had put myself in a place that was not good. And it was a little bit scary even. Like my mom asked me, was asking me questions about the race, and I was like, this is dumb. Like, it's not even fun. I didn't enjoy it. It's not fun. In fact, I would say this is actually quite dangerous for myself, for my well-being. And so, yeah, that was kind of where I was in my mental space for the next 3 hours or so. I couldn't hold any fluids down. And finally, after a couple of hours, I was able to hold a couple 100 milliliters down. And then once this things, I guess the system started to loosen up, then I was able to start to put some fluid back in, and finally go able to eat about, I don't know, 5 hours after the race or so. And so yeah, it just, it was really disappointing because, I got outrun by, I don't know, 3/4 of the men's field and half the women's field. And I just, that's just obviously not the type of running ability that I have. I 13 days prior ran a 1:12 off of a hard bike. And it's just not so far from ability levels that it's just really disappointing and sad. And just, especially the pain, I'm all about pushing myself to the limit. And I definitely can tell that if put in a situation where I need to run to the point of death, I mean, I'm pretty confident that I could do that. So that's an asset. That's good. I think you need that to fight against the best, because the best can do that as well. But it's not something you want to do or should do. And this is not what these guys who you see doing these amazing performances, they're not putting themselves into dangerous, like biologically dangerous situations. That's not that's not racing. That's literally fighting for your life at that stage, which is not it's not what I do this for. I do this to take myself to the limits of speed and that sort of thing. So I, that's just kind of the disappointing part, to have just missed something so large and overarching that I already knew too. And thinking of the psychological aspect of why, the big one was I just was so infatuated with getting the spot for the first 6 weeks of the prep. I didn't give this any thought. And then I got the spot, and then it was like, okay, now you have the green light to start to train hard. So I got infatuated with training really hard. And once again, there was no thought given to this very important piece of Ironman that I learned years ago, that it don't matter if you're the best shape in the entire world. If you don't have the nutrition aspect decently right, you will be rendered absolutely useless. And that I was. So moving forward, I think I had already come to this conclusion after 2018 that it's good to have someone there to sort of be that third person looking in, giving you bird's eye feedback. And I had filled that void in the beginning of the year, and just unfortunately for personal reasons that relationship didn't work out. But I never filled the void after it didn't work out. And it certainly would have helped to have filled that void, because this is such a blatantly obvious piece of the puzzle to have neglected so overarchingly. So we definitely need to fill that void moving forward. And I think the big one for me is I'm just not going to put myself in that situation again. I need to obviously get some feedback, some input. I think we're going to have to do some work that I need to do, I wanted to do. Like, for instance, I think I need to come to Kona and find out what is the cost of the bike here? What is it costing me? So that, because I have no idea. Am I sweating at 2 liters an hour, 2.5 liters an hour, 3 liters an hour? I have no idea. But once you find the cost of the bike, then at least you can work backwards to try and limit your losses and devise an appropriate strategy. And then, of course, the big one, which I didn't do, was train the gut, which I stopped doing this year. And then also find out the cost of the run for all the same reasons, and then work backwards and develop the appropriate strategy, because you need all those pieces of the puzzle in order to perform well here, obviously including great fitness. So I won't put myself in this situation again until I have answers and I've made strides in that department. And so I'm committed to that, and I'm going to do that. So in the meantime, I want to have some fun. I haven't really done much racing this year. The racing I have done, I feel hasn't been up to par. So I'm going to spend a bit more time doing some racing. Unfortunately, we're running out of races. There's not too much left for the season. But I think I'll do Los Cabos 70.3 next in a couple of weeks. I really have no deterioration from that race. Of course, biologically, it was extremely difficult, but a 3:13 marathon is literally, for me, is walk jogging. So I don't have virtually no soreness after the race. So I feel ready, motivated, excited to get into another race. So I think I'll do that. And then I'll probably go back to Indian Wells 70.3 in early December. And then I'm hoping to get back to Pukan 70.3 in early January. And then I'll probably call it a season and take some time and really take that time to do some analysis and hopefully have filled that void that we were talking about, and then get some good nutrition, make some strides in that department. For this race in particular, of course, I've been able to get away without thinking about it much in the 70.3, because those problems, they don't become a problem till the end of the 70.3. But all my Ironmans, this has obviously been a problem. And the ones that I've done decently well in have all been cold, rainy days with people getting hypothermia and stuff on the after the bike. So obviously the sweating and that sort of stuff is not going to be as important in those races. The hot ones, I've never performed well in a hot race. So I'm not going to put myself in this situation until I'm certain that I can at least run the marathon. So that's where I'm at, and that's where I'm headed. And yeah, I'm disappointed, but I'm also motivated, and I don't feel that this is the end or anything. I feel, more motivated than ever, pissed off, quite frankly, about it. Good experience. It'll end up being a good experience, and I'm excited to get back. So, the big thing I want to do is just say thanks to everyone who tuned in the whole week and the last couple of weeks, and even the whole journey leading into the race. I certainly couldn't have made it. The only reason I didn't drop out at mile 7 when I came up next to my family is because I knew I had so many people watching and following along. And how would that look if you're going around saying that there are no limits and then you drop out? That's just ridiculous. So it was thanks to you guys tuning in that I was able to finish that race, and I'm glad I did. But I don't want to be in that situation again where I feel like I might be doing damage to myself. So I will make certain that I don't do that again. So anyways, I hope to see you guys out there sometime soon, and thanks for tuning in.